Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of AEW Dynamite for July the 22nd, 2020. Shout out to everybody in the chat room for watching live. I appreciate your viewership and support. And thank you to everybody else out there for watching this, whether it's live or on demand. If you enjoy this video, please tell a friend, share a link to this video, and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you get updates. Let's go ahead and get started with the recap of Dynamite. We had our introduction with Pyro, and we went straight to the ring. Tony Schiavone is back, by the way, after missing last week's show due to his COVID test results coming in late. Cody was in the ring, introduced for his TNT Championship match. His mystery opponent this week was Eddie Kingston. Now, for those of you who do not know who he is, Eddie Kingston has wrestled in various independent promotions over the years. Most of the big ones that you can think of, including Impact Wrestling. He was there for a while. And most recently, he was part of the NWA. He was on NWA Power on a regular basis. So just like Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston coming over from the NWA to challenge Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship. He cut a promo, and when I was watching him on NWA Power, I felt like his promos were really good. Like that's definitely his strong suit, his promos. And he cut this promo, talked about how he grew up around alcoholics and junkies, and he had to actually grind his way into the wrestling business and grind his way through life. He said Cody could not last a day in his shoes, and he said that everyone that Cody has faced up to this point was a child. He is a grown-ass man, and Tony Khan is paying him to kick Cody's ass. TJS with a $2 super chat, first one of the evening. Thank you for that, TJS. He says, AEW should sign Eddie Kingston, best TNT match yet intense. Wow, that is some high praise from TJS. Ken says, Eddie Kingston is really talented. And he says, I miss Kingston's promos with Elijah Burke in NWA Power. This match was one of my favorites, a no DQ match. Kingston took advantage of this. He used Cody's weight belt as a weapon. He exposed the floor, removed the mat, and you know how this goes. It backfired on him. He got back body dropped onto the concrete. However, he continued to dominate the match. Cody eventually started to make a comeback, but then Kingston used a low blow, which in this match was 100% allowed, legal. And then Kingston brought out thumbtacks. He poured the thumbtacks into the ring, and he actually got to do a move to Cody on the thumbtacks. It did not backfire. He powerbombed Cody on the tacks, and somehow Cody, with a shot of adrenaline, I guess you could say, came back with a clothesline and then put on a figure four, and Kingston tapped out. Cody, still your TNT champion, and next week he will once again be defending that championship. So the Cody Rhodes Open Challenge continues. Now, for those of you wondering, well, why not bring in one of the released WWE stars? This was a pre-taped show, and I believe it was taped before the 90-day no-compete clauses officially expired. Next week, who knows? We could very well see somebody take the challenge who was recently released from WWE, but maybe it'll be another indie sensation. It could be anybody at this point. Nice opener to the show. I enjoyed it. And we had a backstage promo with Jon Moxley. He said that he does whatever he says he's going to do. And he applauded Taz said Taz should get Manager of the Year for protecting his client, Brian Cage, in the world title match. Moxley said that he really wanted to hear the sound of Cage's bone breaking. Next time, he's not going to let go. Maybe a little bit of a tease for a rematch with these guys. I guess we'll wait and see. AEW announced a women's tag team tournament called the Deadly Draw. Instead of the Lethal Lottery, it's the Deadly Draw. I'm not sure if it's going to be random women put together or if there will be makeshift tag teams. I have mixed feelings on this. I feel like we've seen too many tournaments between AEW and WWE. I'm a little tired of tournaments. I think I could go for a little break without tournaments for a while. We'll see if they make it interesting. And I'm not sure if AEW has enough of depth in the women's division to do a 16-woman tournament. But we'll see. They may bring in some indie talents, maybe pick up a few names from NWA. We'll have to wait and see. And that's supposed to take place later this summer, so I'm not sure if it begins next week or maybe as we get closer to All Out, but you would think by All Out we'll get something regarding the tournament. Summer technically lasts through September, so they got some time to start building up for it. I'm seeing comments in the chat room about Tessa Blanchard. Definitely a possibility, although you would think that she would do something in a singles capacity if she was going to be in AEW. But it will give some of the women that are not really being utilized much a chance to have the spotlight, so that's a positive. And I believe it's going to be a cup. I don't think they're bringing in tag team titles, at least at this point. Just for the record. We had MJF face an up-and-comer in Griff Garrison. And MJF cut this promo before the match, said that Garrison is in the ring with a prodigy. However, MJF says he is a prodigy with a heart of gold. And Garrison brought up how MJF lost the tag team match at Fyter Fest, and not the smartest thing to do to piss off MJF like that. MJF attacked the poor guy, beat the crap out of him, and then during the match, he grabbed the mic. He said he lost his temper, but he wanted to make things clear. He has never been pinned. He never submitted. And mid-match here, he ordered Garrison to say that MJF is undefeated. And eventually, after getting beat up some more, Garrison finally said it. And then Garrison, out of nowhere with a roll-up, almost beats MJF. He gets a near fall, but then MJF hits his Heat Seeker pile driver, 1, 2, 3, to beat up the young upstart. And who knows, this guy might have some potential. He's taller than MJF. He's got that going for him. He's got that height that might have some people gravitating towards him and thinking this guy could be something. So we'll see. We had Tony Schiavone backstage interviewing Britt Baker, who just recently had nose surgery, and we got a little bit of a gross picture of the surgery, but it is what it is. And she talked about how when she got injured, she returned a week later because she's a role model, and all it got her was people taking advantage of her. She is set for the biggest comeback of all time. She's going to be like Michael Jordan, and people should not be counting her out at All Out. I guess that's when she's going to be making a comeback or starting to make a comeback, but she did bring up All Out, which is a little over a month away. I'm guessing Daly's Place in all likelihood, as far as a venue goes. We had Brian Cage come out with Taz, and there was some dissension teased between the two of them on social media. A recap was shown from AEW Dark with Ricky Starks joining up, apparently part of this little group with Brian Cage and Taz. Taz brought up how it was a difficult week for them. They had some heated discussions, but Taz made it clear it was a business decision. He did give Moxley some credit for having a badass submission move. However, Brian Cage will never be put in that position again. He's not wired to tap out, and things will be different next time. Darby Allin made his way to the ring, and Ricky Starks jumped Allin from behind. Cage picked up Allin and powerbombed him from the ramp into the ring. Moxley came out to make the save with a barbed wire baseball bat, and it was announced a tag team match with these four on next week's edition of Dynamite. We had a backstage promo with the Inner Circle, and Jericho talked about his expensive jacket and how Orange Cassidy ruined it. He is going to ruin Cassidy's career. They're going to take care of the Jurassic Express. And he broke the news. The son of a bitch, Jericho, said Luchasaurus is not really a dinosaur. What a bastard. And Jericho said that they're going to make the Jurassic Express go extinct. My man, Mike B, with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Mike B. I appreciate it. He says, answer this after so you don't go off topic. All right, will do, Mike B. I'm going to save your question for later. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. All right, so let's get back to Dynamite. We had a tag team match between the Young Bucks and Butcher and Blade, and this was a Falls Count Anywhere match. It started in the kitchen. We had these kitchen tables there. Nick got powerbombed on one for a near fall. Matt got double suplexed on another one. And then the fight headed into the parking lot. And a little funny moment here. Nick Jackson got thrown into the production truck door, which had his face on it. That was a nice little moment there. Young Bucks then super kicked Blade onto an escalator, and he was going up the escalator as he was laying on it. Another creative spot there. After the commercial break, we had the match back at ringside, and Blade ended up going for this dive to the outside. There was a table set up on the outside, but Blade completely missed. Not just missing the table. I mean, he just completely did not connect with either his opponent or the table. He just crashed and burned big time. He eventually got back in the ring to make the save after the Bucks put on a double submission on the Butcher. Butcher and Blade did their powerbomb neckbreaker combo on the stage, and then they started grabbing more tables. The tables were set up by the entranceways. However, as you know, whoever sets it up likely goes through it. And sure enough, super kick party. Butcher and Blade got laid out on the tables, and the Bucks climbed to the top of the entranceways and did the stereo swanton bomb and a flying elbow drop through the tables, and both of them made the cover. 1, 2, 3. Young Bucks pick up the victory. Really fun match here. I really enjoy these matches where the brawl goes all over the building, and AEW has not overdone it. They've done maybe 3 or 4 of these now since the pandemic started. But they're good matches to do during the pandemic, and I do enjoy them. They're a lot of fun to watch on TV. Good stuff here from these guys. I definitely enjoyed this one. And backstage, Alex Marvez was attempting to interview Lance Archer. Jake Roberts was there. And Lance, basically, instead of talking, he went over into the locker room and beat up a bunch of random scrubs. He picked up one guy and literally threw him in the trash. Then we had a women's division match between two newcomers to AEW. We had Diamante, who used to compete in Impact Wrestling. She was part of LAX for a while, up against Ivelisse, who competed in Lucha Underground. Both of them have very similar looks with the bandana face coverings. I mean, they could almost be a tag team. They look so similar. Big Swole did a little promo during this match, pissed off about Britt Baker. And this was a back and forth match between the ladies here, and Diamante won with an inside cradle. And who knows, maybe they will team up as part of this tag team tournament that's coming up, this deadly draw. Who's supposed to be the face? Asks Bada. Thoughts? Baker or Swole? I would think Swole. I mean, Britt Baker's clearly a heel. Our next match was a singles match between Alan Five Angels. He's 5, but his actual name is Alan Angels. From the Dark Order against Hangman Adam Page. Like the ladies in the previous match, Page wearing the bandana face covering seems to be a popular thing in wrestling. Everybody's got a bandana face covering. It's like the new jean shorts. I mean, the jean shorts was a very 90s thing. Raven did it, and then before you knew it, every other wrestler on the planet was doing it. So anyways, Adam Page versus 5 from the Dark Order. Pretty standard match here between these guys. Dark Order members ended up coming out to the stage, minus Brody Lee. Page picked up the victory with a powerbomb turned into a pinfall. And then after the match, Brody Lee and Colt Cabana made their way into the ring. Brody basically tried to recruit Page into the Dark Order, said he was impressed with the victory, but not impressed with the fact that Page really doesn't have any friends and he's in immediate danger when nobody's around. They, the Dark Order, can protect him. Page says he doesn't think that he's ready to join a cult right now. And Page did not, Brody Lee did not appreciate Page's comment and said that Page made his bed and now he's going to sleep in it. Brody Lee and Colt Cabana left the ringside area, and then the rest of the Dark Order got into the ring and beat down Adam Page until finally FTR made the save. They had a cooler full of beers, and Kenny Omega finally appeared. The announcers made a big deal out of this, saying Omega was late to the party. So yeah, it kind of feels like Omega's slowly going heel now instead of Page. At first, it felt like Page was going to be the one that was going heel prior to the pandemic starting. FTR gave Page a beer, and then it was announced that next week the tag team titles will once again be on the line. Page and Omega up against not Brody Lee and Colt Cabana, but rather Evil Uno and Grayson. And it was also announced Shida will face Diamante on next week's Dynamite. And as I also mentioned earlier, Jon Moxley and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. And then we had our main event of the evening, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager up against the Jurassic Express. Big guys squared off at first, and then later Jungle Boy and Jericho went at it. Eventually, Jericho and Hager got the upper hand, although at one point Marco Stunt attempted to interfere. Actually, he did successfully interfere when the referee wasn't looking. Jericho tried to use his bat, and that did not work. And eventually, Luchasaurus got the hot tag. Marco Stunt came in with a drop kick, and then Santana and Ortiz started getting involved. They got on the apron, and then a masked guy who has wrestled in AEW, known as Serpentico, I think is how you pronounce his name. I'm not sure, but masked guy who wrestles in AEW came in and used the bat that Chris Jericho had on Luchasaurus. And then Jericho hit the code breaker. 1, 2, 3. Jericho and Hager pick up the victory. And after the match, the Inner Circle continued with their beatdown. And then all of a sudden, the masked guy hit the shooting star and then unmasked to be Sammy Guevara. That's right. Sammy Guevara is back in AEW after missing about 3 to 4 weeks. I know the whole speaking out thing was about a month ago. So Sammy Guevara missing roughly a month of action. Back in the saddle again. And the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy made the save. And I believe they announced a 10-man tag team match for next week's show. The entire Inner Circle against Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, and Jurassic Express. So pretty loaded show set up for next week's Dynamite. Overall, another good show from AEW. TJS with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, TJS. He says, is it just me or has Jon Moxley's title reign been underwhelming? Seems like a part-timer and not the center of the show. TNT title more important to you? I actually do not have a problem with it because I think it makes Moxley come off as more special. Like when Hulk Hogan was the WWF champion, he did not appear on TV every week. And yeah, Brock Lesnar does not appear on TV every week. So in a way, I like the fact that he's a special attraction and he's not always on the shows. And he doesn't have to defend the title every single week. Build up some contenders for him. You know, Cody's doing the defend the title every week gimmick, which is fine. You know, that's good for building up the title. But I'm fine with what they're doing with Moxley right now and saving the big matches for every couple of months and not doing a world title match every single week. And Ken is like, this is not the Bruno era. Yeah, but I think it's important to make the world champion a special attraction and not overexpose him. I'm okay with it. Now to answer Mike B's question. Well, before I get to Mike B, let's do the letter grade for AEW. Solid B. Another good show. AEW is very consistent with putting on good shows, and this was yet another good show on the list for AEW. Next week, nice build up for next week. Keeping people invested. And based off of what NXT did this week, I think AEW will probably win the viewership. But I'll talk about the viewership tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And I will also talk about NXT and what's going on with the North American Championship. If you want to know what's up with that, you can head over to NoDQ.com. But if you want my thoughts, that will be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll talk about NXT and give my thoughts on what's going on with that and early news regarding the upcoming TakeOver pay-per-view, which will take place before SummerSlam. So stay tuned for that. Now, before I go here, Mike B with his off-topic super chat, although still relates to AEW. He says, answer this after so you don't go off topic. Which AEW wrestlers could you see going to WWE down the road? Hope you and everyone are doing great. Well, of course, I always say that Jericho will be back one day. Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, I mean, they've started the company, so I would be surprised if they end up in WWE anytime soon. It's hard to say. If AEW is very successful, it's going to be a long time if they ever show up. But if AEW kind of fizzles out or management changes or stuff like that happens, yeah, I mean, I could see one of them, whether it's the Bucks or Omega, go into WWE at some point. MJF, I could see in WWE one day. Adam Page, maybe. Jungle Boy, maybe. Luchasaurus is another guy I could see being there someday. So there's a couple. Maybe Brian Cage, although WWE did not seem interested in him before, but things could always change. Hard to say because you never know who's going to really rise up and become a potential major star in WWE will try to steal that guy away. I don't think it'll be anybody in the near future, but maybe a year or two down the line, I'm sure we'll see a couple of guys end up in WWE. We'll see guys flip-flopping around. I mean, it happened in the 90s, happened when TNA was doing very well, so it's bound to happen. Ken terminated by DQ with a $3 super chat. Thank you, Ken. He says, Jon Moxley in an Andre/Undertaker part-time role. He doesn't even have to be in a part-time role. Like, I think what AEW is doing right now is fine. You know, he's around most of the time, but not every week. He's not defending the title every week, which is fine. But yeah, if he only appeared like 3 or 4 times a year, I would say, all right, come on, enough's enough, not necessary. But I think there's a nice balance right now with Moxley where you're having him around enough without him becoming overexposed. I mean, that's how I see it, at least. Although Kim says, I like that Moxley is not overexposed. So there you go. Thank you, Ken, for that super chat. And thank you to TJS and Mike B for your super chats. Very much appreciated from you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. And if you like this format, let me know. If you want me to go back to the old way, let me know as well. Your feedback, like I said, is very important as I try out different things with the live streaming. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment and tune in for the NXT thoughts, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. Take care, everybody. Stay positive. Be safe. And I will see you guys next time.